Last year, you made a powerful statement saying the reason people are watching women's basketball is not just because of one player, but because of you two. A year later, do you feel like you're
Next question.
The reporter didn't even need to finish his question. Angel Reese summed up the current state of the WNBA and its dynamic with Caitlin Clark in just 2 words. And that relationship has now taken a dramatic turn. Caitlin Clark's impact on the league is undeniable. She's brought in millions of new fans, driven sold-out crowds, and shattered viewership records. But equally undeniable is how the league has mishandled this golden opportunity. Instead of fully embracing the Caitlin Clark effect, many within the WNBA pushed back. They questioned the attention she was receiving, minimized her influence, and, worst of all, mocked her fan base. Rather than recognizing her rise as a boost, they treated it like a threat. And for anyone watching from the outside, it made absolutely no sense.
But the WNBA last year, bless their hearts, finally got a star. And they didn't know that. They couldn't figure it out. Well, we don't want to put too much Caitlin Clark on. Nope, every game. More Caitlin Clark all the time, always. Caitlin Clark is easily the most influential athlete in a team sport since Michael Jordan.
The success, the breakthrough, the packed arenas, national headlines, and cultural buzz. It was everything the WNBA had been working toward for decades. They finally had the moment, the player, the spotlight. Real money, bigger salaries, and global relevance were finally within reach. But there was a catch. It was Caitlin Clark leading the charge. And for many in the WNBA, that didn't feel like a victory. It felt like a loss. Because for some, Caitlin becoming the one wasn't just unexpected. It felt like the end of a long-held dream. A dream that they would be the ones to elevate the league together, through collective effort, through years of grinding. And maybe the toughest part? Realizing that after all the claims that nobody cares about women's basketball, fans did show up. They just showed up for Caitlin.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Yes, Diana, there definitely have been stages. Almost like mourning. We've seen players and even media personalities cycle through what looks like denial, anger, and everything in between. And once you start to line it all up, it's actually kind of wild how clearly it fits the pattern. It's been messy, it's been disappointing, and frankly, it hasn't made the WNBA look great. But now, something has shifted. What should have been just another ordinary moment suddenly flipped the script, and it's made the league realize exactly what's headed their way. Now, they're scrambling to make sure they're on the right side of the Caitlin Clark effect. Let's break down exactly what happened. But first, hit that like button if you're ready to watch the WNBA cave to Caitlin Clark, and don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's rewind for a second.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
By this time last season, Caitlin Clark wasn't just making her presence known. She was completely dominating the conversation across the WNBA. She didn't just debut, she exploded onto the scene. Viewership numbers tripled. NBA arenas were selling out. Her jersey sales shattered records. Every Indiana Fever game instantly became appointment viewing, with fans showing up hours early and scalpers demanding playoff-level prices for regular season seats.
Now, if we say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5 points.
The jealousy started long before Caitlin Clark even set foot on a WNBA court. Her hype wasn't just big, it was generational. She had just shattered the NCAA all-time scoring record, men's and women's. She led Iowa to consecutive national title games, sold out every venue she entered, and made logo threes look routine. Then came the WNBA draft. No suspense, no surprises, just a coronation. She was the obvious number. One pick, but more than that, she was the moment. Cameras flashing, press swarming, sponsors lining up, and that's when things started to get uncomfortable. The league had seen stars before: Aja Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Breanna Stewart, true MVPs and champions. But none arrived with this level of attention. And for some, that cut deep. Enter the first stage of grief: denial. Not just skepticism, outright resistance. Veteran players, some in the media, even league executives quickly began trying to downplay her impact. The tension was visible before she even played a single game.
Caitlin's coming. There's more than just that are coming. What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, Reality is coming.
If Caitlin Clark had come in and flopped or even just been average, the old guard would have had their "I told you so" moment. The narrative would have written itself. College is one thing, but the WNBA is a whole different level. She'd have been humbled, the hype would have faded, media attention would have moved on, and the veterans could have felt vindicated. But that's not what happened. Her debut drew 2.1 million viewers, the most watched WNBA game in over 20 years. Every time she stepped on the court, viewership spiked. National broadcasts, sold-out arenas. Her jersey became a top seller. Caitlin didn't just live up to the hype, she took full ownership of it. And that's when it happened. Stage 2, anger.
Last season.
Clark, hammer. 3 Sky players coming over. Here's Clark. For 29 points, gets tripped up.
Is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
Once it became clear that Caitlin Clark's star power wasn't going to fade, no matter how many eye rolls or critical media takes came her way, the next phase kicked in. Damage control. Not off the court, though. On it. Whether intentional or not, the league began to push back between the lines. Players started dishing out hard screens, off-ball hits, and unnecessary contact. And the refs? They mostly stayed silent, swallowing their whistles. It turned into a trend. Let her get hit. Let her get frustrated. Let her question if she belonged. If the hype wouldn't fizzle on its own, they'd try to grind it out of her physically. You could see it game after game. It took a toll. She looked exhausted, banged up and mentally worn down. But Caitlin didn't fold. She didn't complain. She came back from the Olympic break stronger, physically and mentally, and played the best basketball of her life. MVP-level dominance, leading the Fever to wins, setting a new assist record, earning first-team All-Star honors. She proved the hype wasn't hype, it was reality. And that's when we hit stage 3, bargaining. This is the part where people start trying to rationalize the new world. They negotiate with themselves, with others, trying to reframe the situation in a way that lets them cling to what they've lost. Status, pride, control. Because what some veterans really lost was their ego. Caitlin didn't just arrive, she took over. And suddenly, the spotlight wasn't theirs anymore. It was hers. So what did they do next? They rewrote the narrative.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. So last night, we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover?
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
It was crazy. I was down in the tunnel watching, so, I mean, I had to go look at the ESPN win probability after that. It was like 97.9, which I'm like, how is it not 99.9? But one of the best finishes I've ever been a part of.
Caitlin, we all know the championship is your ultimate focus, and you're not the type to dwell on individual accolades. So let me do it for you. After a rookie season that was nothing short of historic, breaking 62 records, carrying a last-place team to the playoffs, and finishing 4th in MVP voting, you should have entered 2025 as the clear MVP frontrunner. But that's not the narrative the media ran with. Instead, many defaulted to an A'ja Wilson repeat. Now, to be clear, A'ja is undeniably elite. But when the media didn't pick her, they found other ways to sidestep giving you the spotlight. Excuses, plain and simple.
A couple of things. Do I expect A'ja Wilson to be A'ja Wilson again this year? Yes. But I also know there is such a thing as voter fatigue.
But now, the tide has turned.
There we are right there. Caitlin Clark is officially the favorite to win the most valuable player.
The narrative is shifting, and the momentum is clearly in your favor. With a reloaded roster, a proven head coach, and a full offseason to elevate your game, the buzz around you isn't just about potential anymore. It's about expectation. Analysts, fans, and even critics are starting to realize that what you did as a rookie wasn't a fluke. It was just the beginning.
Clark. Yes! A new career high for Caitlin Clark.
FanDuel, BetMGM, and now even ESPN are all listing Caitlin Clark as the leading MVP candidate, putting her ahead of names like A'ja Wilson and Nafisa Collier. That's not just fan buzz. It's Vegas, it's analytics, and it's people backing their belief with real money. The WNBA media, they're starting to come around too. After a rookie year marked by dismissive tones, veiled skepticism, and forced comparisons, the narrative is clearly changing. They're seeing what fans already knew. Caitlin Clark isn't just talented, she's a generational force. So what caused the shift? A lot has changed, and every factor points toward a breakout, dominant season ahead for both Clark and the Fever.
Way out of that backcourt. Clark, Boston screen, fire away, hits a three.
She's on the verge of going full beast mode, and most people have no idea what's coming. Let's break it all down. But first, hit that like button if you think Caitlin's bringing home the MVP this season. And don't forget to subscribe for all your Indiana Fever updates.
That is why she is my choice for the 2025 WNBA MVP.
Some, like Rachel, saw it before the rest of the media caught on. Caitlin Clark didn't just have a solid rookie season, she had a record-breaking one. She shattered 62 records, including setting the WNBA single-season assist record. As a rookie, that's unreal. And she did all that while being the most targeted, most scrutinized, and most talked about player in the league on a team that was still figuring itself out.
Like she broke the record for assists. I don't think people really understand like how crazy that is to do as a rookie, your first year doing this.
After the Olympic snub, Caitlin went on an absolute tear.
Here is Clark off the screen, launches, and drops a triple. Really physically demanding.
From that moment on, she averaged 23 points per game while leading a team that had been near the bottom just a season earlier. She brought them to the playoffs, elevated everyone around her, and did it all under the most intense spotlight any rookie has ever faced. Naturally, expectations were sky high for her second year, but despite all that, some analysts still didn't view her as a top contender. Bleacher Report's WNBA analyst Nakas Duncan even ranked her 5th heading into 2025, placing her behind Alyssa Thomas, the same Alyssa Thomas who averaged only 10.6 points per game last season.
Caitlin Clark at 5 is crazy to me, and it's crazy to me just off the rip because if we look at the MVP voting from last season, she was number 4 in MVP voting. It was Asia, Nafisa, Brianna, and then Caitlin.
Duncan's reasoning? He claimed ranking Caitlin any higher just felt like too much too soon, especially when it meant placing her above players who had already won championships. Sound familiar? It should. It's the same logic ESPN used when they left Caitlin Clark off their list of the top 5 women's college basketball players ever, despite her being the all-time leading scorer, the face of a cultural phenomenon, and the driving force behind a title game that outdrew the men's in viewership.
How can you be a top 5 player if you have not won a title?
It's one of those situations where the recognition for Caitlin Clark just hadn't caught up to her impact until now. The same ESPN that once snubbed her from their college basketball GOAT list is now calling her the MVP frontrunner, ahead of names like Aja Wilson and Nafisa Collier. Realistically, it's a 3-player race with a steep drop-off in odds after Brianna Stewart. Everyone else is more or less an afterthought. So what changed? A lot, actually. And the truth is, the writing was on the wall months ago. The signs were there. Momentum, major roster upgrades, and the Fever's smart off-season moves. But it wasn't until training camp began that the rest of the basketball world finally started seeing what Fever fans already knew. Indiana made serious moves that instantly elevated them into title contention, and every one of them makes Caitlin Clark even more lethal, starting at the top with their new coach.
Was any coaching at all in Indiana, they would not be 5 games below 500. Again.
Many fans and analysts believed Caitlin Clark and the Fever thrived despite their coach, Christy Sides. While no one openly stated it, the signs were unmistakable.
And I told y'all this last year, well, I didn't tell y'all this last year on air, but like, we saw when they took the pictures with Christy Sides, like when she pulled up on them at All-Star game, her, Kelsey, and AB, and everybody just kind of like rolled their eyes and walked away like she was a groupie.
Yeah,
that told me everything I needed to know. So when I said like she's not it was based on 2 years of seeing things that just shouldn't have been happening in the first place.
Caitlin mentioned early in the season that she wasn't receiving much guidance from the sidelines. On the court, moments of frustration, players exchanging disconnected glances, and huddles lacking focus all pointed to something not quite clicking. During the offseason, Caitlin subtly referenced the team's lack of strategy and structure. Fans were vocal in their criticism, especially when it came to getting outcoached in close games, and it became clear that change was necessary. That's why they brought in Stephanie White, the 2023 Coach of the Year. From day one, it was clear to Fever fans that this was a major upgrade. Now, the media and the league are catching on as they see the noticeable improvements in practice.
Nice, good. Still don't miss to add then our drags and our step ups. Right here, yep, Tosh. Yep. Let's time it, so we really get you over the top. Yo, we cannot be short on that pass. We can't be short on that pass.
Stephanie White's coaching will help the Fever win, and that directly benefits Caitlin. Better coaching means smarter rotations, more efficient offensive sets, and players actually moving without the ball. There will be more designed plays that highlight Caitlin's vision, with teammates in the right spots to finish those assists. This leads to fewer forced shots, more points on the board, and more overall efficiency. As the Fever rack up wins with this newfound smoothness, the MVP conversation will quickly heat up.
Now you have a veteran coach in Coach Stephanie White. You have seen her be so involved with her players.
Caitlin is clearly impressed with the changes, and Stephanie White's presence alone would have already been enough to boost Caitlin's MVP stock, tightening up team execution, elevating her play, and implementing a solid system. But when you add the new squad into the mix, it's not just an MVP season we're talking about. It's looking more like a full-on takeover.